I know where there's some, right here in the hall, clerk.
No, Molly, not in there. I have enough.
Hello and welcome back to Fibber's Closet. An interim project, short-term project. I hope it's a short-term project. Simpson Series 260 voltometer. I love these. I like the looks of them. I like to use them. And I've got to be really careful with myself and not own a bunch of them because I don't need a bunch of them. But one would be nice. Anyway, I got this one for really cheap on eBay. It's really dirty, and I don't know if you can hear this. Just a second. Things are rattling around in there, and that's not a good sign. So we'll see. The case is in decent, if not clean shape, not being dropped or thrown against the floor or anything like that. Adapter lock, it says right there. What is that? Oh, this must fit on something. Interesting. I don't have a manual for this yet. I'll get busy and order one. But let's take a look and see what's inside to make it so reasonably priced. We'll start by taking the battery and fuse lid off. That used to be foam. It isn't anymore. Okay, I can see why it was decommissioned. This takes a 9-volt battery, standard 9-volt cell, and a 1.5 volt. What would that be? A C or D cell? One or the other. Let me get this on Zoom. Hold on. Okay, get a little more light over here. I'll bet. See this battery connector right there is shiny brass. This one. I'll bet this one's supposed to be the same way. And it most definitely is not. And I bet it's not working anymore either. So, whoever owned it last lost the use of this cell. But that shouldn't be too hard to fix. Oh, sorry. Way out of focus. Anyway, that shouldn't be too hard to fix. We'll see. Let's take this the rest of the way apart and see what we see. I used to have a meter very much like this in my tender youth. It had a mirrored parallax scale as well. This one does not, but that's okay. I'm not out to measure anything very accurately with it. But it would be nice if it measured at all. So we'll take a look in here and see if the innards look like they've been fried or whether there was just that connector. It would be nice if it was just the connector. Let's see. I better collect the screws before the floor monsters get them. Okay. Oh, there's one piece that was rattling around. There's another piece. So this, well, let's start with this one. This is pretty clearly the other part of that. I'm sure my hand's in the way, but those two fit together once. It's just springy bronze or brass. Should be able to recreate that. The other part is a little, looks kind of like a star washer. Oh, okay. There's another one right here. So it's supposed to go down over this pin right here and hold the circuit board in place. All right. That's good. Nothing obvious is popping out at me. Oh, there's plastic coating on this component, which I would suspect is a cap, and it's cracked right there. So I'm not sure. About that. Switches undoubtedly need cleaned, but they don't look bad actually. Here's a what brand is that? Can't tell. Anyway, a black cap. I think these are prone to failing. I'll replace it in any case. But I'm not seeing any scorching or burnt spots on the circuit board. No components are torched. This plastic cover, it looks like shrink wrap, is cracked, but so what? Nothing under there looks bad. Well, I'm hopeful. I am hopeful. All right, what I'll do is I will detach all of this from the front of the case so I can take this off and give it a good scrub, as well as the case itself, or the bulk of the case. Inside it's nice and clean. That means no coffee's been poured in there. So it's just filthy on the outside. Then I will acquire a schematic and find out what that component is. Maybe I can just take this shrink wrap off all the way and then I'll know. I will replace this cap. I can see I think I can see it's a 400 volt DC cap. I can't read the value quite, but I'll discover it. I will check all of these components. Oh, there's another shrink wrap one. 2 shrink wrap ones. Don't know what those are. 3 shrink wrap ones. 3, 4. A bunch. All the rest of them are named and will have values. A couple of diodes. Lots of adjustment pots to make it work right. Fuse is intact. It's not blown. Okay, so my suspicion is that this battery terminal corroded away, and nobody wanted to bother fixing it, so it went on the shelf, or in the trunk, or up in the attic or somewhere. Well, okay, let's clean this up and see if we can make it work. starting with this, I think. Yeah, starting with this battery connector. All right, let's see what happens. I was looking around in here and I made a wonderful discovery. And I'll share it with you. I was moving these wires out of the way. And right, let me get this focused a bit. Right up under here, the shiny piece of brass right there, that is a spare terminal. It's not connected to anything, it's just sitting down over the lip of the, in fact it probably was originally used as a 9-volt battery holder to tighten that up. But fortunately what they used is this piece, which used to look, this piece used to look like that, used to look like that. So I will happily retrieve that out of there, reposition it over here, and see what happens from there on.
Ask her myself. Hey, Molly, there's a good place for that bearskin. Right on the floor there in front of the fireplace.
Never.
Huh?
I'm not going to go around doing my housework with that thing showing its big, beautiful white teeth at me like Caesar Romero, and I wish it was.
I think I'll put it on the floor in front of my bed. Then on cold winter
Oh,
mornings...
look, McGee, never mind the bearskin now. You've got to help me take down the curtains. They're going to the cleaners.
Oh, let's do that tomorrow.
I never saw such a man. You either work like fury for a few minutes or you sit down doing nothing.
I know. I'm a member of the sweater set.
What's that?
Yeah, I either sweat or set. Don't you get it, Molly? I says I'm a member of the sweater set.
It ain't funny, McGee.
Well, so what? You might have gone along with me on our first show.
Well, everybody seems to know we're home again.
Yes, the Johnson Wax Company asked me not to keep it confidential. Come in.
Well, hello, Mrs. McGee. Hello, little chum.
Gildersleeve.
My, it's nice to see you, Mr. Gildersleeve. Won't you have a chair and a cup of tea?
No, thank you, Mrs. McGee. I can't stay but a moment. I just dropped in to say goodbye.
Goodbye. Where are you going?
I'm not going. I've gone. I've moved to Summerfield. I'm managing the estate of my niece and nephew.
Oh, well, what you going to do with your house here, Gildy? Sell it or rent it?
Sell it. Would you care to buy it as an investment?
Me? Why, I wouldn't give you a nickel for that rat-ridden rabbit hutch, Throcky.
Oh!
Remember when that house had an iron deer out on the front lawn, Molly?
Yes. Whatever happened to it?
It looked around one day and took a look at that house and ran away.
No, look here, McGee. I've taken plenty from you in my day, but by George... Oh, my goodness.
What's the matter?
I must remember to buy George, my caretaker, a little gift. He's been taking care of my house this summer. Did you meet him?
No, we were up in Alaska, Throcky. There's a wonderful place. I shot one of the biggest bears in
Yes, and how did you like it, Mrs. McGee?
Oh, I had a wonderful time, Mr. Gildersleeve.
The way I happened to shoot him was, I was walking around the bend to Ketchikan Creek when all of a sudden...
What time is it?
It was early in the morning. Just as the first rays of the Arctic sun were glinting on the ice...
I mean, what time is it now?
3:30, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, dear. Just got time to catch my train. But I just couldn't go without coming in to say goodbye to you, Mrs. McGee. And Fibber, my little chum.
You mean we ain't going to see you anymore, Gildy?
Chin up, little pal. That's life, you know. After all, we're just ships that pass in the night. I hope you miss me as much as I'm going to miss you.
Well, ships that pass in the night had better miss each other.
Gildy, old man, I hardly know what to say.
Well, let's just say this isn't goodbye. It's au revoir.
Oh, I can't say that, Gibby.
Why not?
I can't pronounce it. Let's just say goodbye. Goodbye.
Yes, goodbye. Oh, another thing. My lawnmower.
What about your lawnmower?
McGee never returned it, and I'm going to need it in Summerfield.
Now, wait a minute, Gildersleeve. You know very well that ain't your own lawnmower.
It is, too. You borrowed it.
It was mine, and you borrowed it.
That broken down clover clipper has changed hands oftener than the World's Wrestling Championship. Can either of you prove ownership?
Yes.
How?
It's got my initials carved on the underside of the handle.
Well, if it has, it's yours, Mr. Gildersleeve. Go get it, McGee.
I will not. If he wants it, let him go get it himself.
All right, I will. Where is it?
It's right in there.
Here?
Yes.
Okay. By George, I'll... Oh, my goodness! McGee, aren't you ever going to straighten out that closet?
And here, back from their summer vacation, no bigger but better than ever, your favorites and ours, the King's Men, singing Little Liza Jane.
I got a gal and you got none, little Liza Jane. I got a gal and you got none, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Come, my love, and marry me, my little Liza Jane. How happy we will be, my little Liza Jane. I'll go buy a wedding ring, my little Liza Jane. We'll be married in the spring, my little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Then one day in the middle of May, little Liza Jane, away she ran with a traveling man who stole my Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza, when I heard the news, oh, little Liza, I got the blues. Liza, come back, my Liza, come back, my Jane. Liza, little Liza Jane. So awful bad, I jumped aboard a train. Made up my mind I'd try to find my little Liza Jane. Away down south in Tennessee, I got off the train. Who was waiting there for me but little Liza Jane? Oh, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Took my honey by the hand, got back on the train. Stole her from that traveling man, sweet, sweet Liza. Now we live in Baltimore, me and Liza Jane. Lots of chillin' round the door, just like Liza. Liza Jane. Liza, howling on my Liza Jane.
All right, we'll test the ability of this thing to measure AC. Got it on AC, common and plus, 200 volt range. And I can't tell if that's visible, but the red band is AC. 250 volts is right here at the right. With 110 or 15 volts here. Should be moving the meter about that far. So we'll see how well that works. What I got here is a cord coming out of my Variac. And again, don't do this at home. I've got the old clip. Boy, the old clip hooked to one side of the voltage coming out of the Variac. I've got this one with a jumper to the old probe. I've also got, in parallel with this, I have the digital meter so we can see what the voltage really is. And if we're lucky, this will say the same as that. So let's proceed. I can't see anything else I need to check, so I'll turn this on. Okay, we got 111 volts coming out of the variac. For this 250 volt scale, this is 250 volts, 200, 150, 100, 50, 60, 70. So this is showing about 70 volts AC, which means, you know, the AC is working, it's measuring AC, but there were, I don't know, 3 or 4 pots that you might have noticed inside that chassis. What this means is this is way out of calibration. It needs to be recalibrated. It needs to have all of its components checked, which I will do. But the good news is it's working. It's measuring AC voltage. As we saw a bit ago, it measures zero resistance and zeroes out, except at the R times 10,000 scale. Then it won't zero out again, which again is a function of the calibration pots inside the cabinet. So overall, this is a working instrument. I will now calibrate it, and I may or may not video that, but I will now calibrate it and see how close I can bring it to factory specs. Unfortunately, at this moment, I don't have the documentation for this meter, so I've got to go away and chase that up and then proceed from there. But gee, I'm happy with it. It's working. It turned out to be fundamentally a simple problem.
But that ain't the way I heard it.
Need changing. Who knows? But overall, it's very promising, and I got it for a really good price for a 260 series. So I'm happy, and that'll do it for this time. See you next time. Take care.